Everybody's joined us. I'll put my record button on here. Is this your first class, Betty?
Yes, it is.
Hooray, welcome, and you accessed it very easily, which is
amazing.
good. A lot of people have trouble the first time, so I'm glad that you were able to get right on. Zoom meeting can be a little bit confusing if you've never used it before, so, but you did good. You're here. Normally what I do is when everybody gets on, I'll mute everybody on my end just to cut down on the background noise. And then if you have a question, you can unmute yourself. Do you know, are you on an iPad or a phone, or what are you using?
Phone.
Your phone?
Chrome, on my Chromebook.
Oh, your Chromebook. Okay. So I think with a Chromebook, see if you can hover your mouse over the bottom of the Zoom screen and see if any controls come up, like start and stop video and mute and all that. It might be similar to my laptop. I have a Chromebook too, but I haven't used it in a while, so I can't remember.
So where am I supposed to look?
Just hover your mouse over the bottom of the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Do the controls come up?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so when I mute you, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and just say, excuse me, I have a question or whatever. And
Okay.
then, you know, I'll give you the ability to unmute yourself. And the reason why I mute everybody at the beginning of the class is because when we first started our classes back in July, a lot of people didn't know how to mute themselves, and there were dogs barking and TVs barking. It was kind of chaotic. I may just reshoot that first video because it was kind of crazy, but we've gotten it down pat. There's Bunny. Lisa's here. Sherry Cannon, and Sherry's probably got her popcorn. Linda Wright, I think that's Linda Wright, Linda W. So I'm going to wait a few more minutes for some more people to jump on. Does anybody have any questions at all before we get started, or?
No.
I know that some people may have had an issue finding the Dollar Tree form. You know, if you ever have any issues finding any particular type of a form, you know, if you go to YouTube, people are very creative. Sherry says, I'm just salting my popcorn when you said that. Sherry doesn't have a microphone, I don't think. She's typing a message to me. She always eats popcorn and watches my class. But if you go to YouTube, you'd be surprised at what you can find as far as making certain forms that you can't find in the store. I saw someone, they made a centerpiece form just using, I think she bought the little Dollar Tree plastic storage baskets. They look like little laundry baskets, and she actually just zip tied them together and made a little centerpiece and attached her mesh to it. So I saw somebody made a Dollar Tree witch hat form out of hangers. So, you know, I know the candy cane forms have been kind of hard to find. I grabbed 10 a couple of months ago just because I saw them there. I didn't grab the whole case because I didn't need a whole case. So, and I still haven't even used them. This is the first one that I've used. So anyway, how many people do we have here? I'm actually just going to get started because if some people jump on after we get started, that's fine. And a lot of people don't watch the live video. They just want to go ahead and wait for the recording, and that's fine. Everybody's busy. But so what I'm going to do, let me just mute everybody, and I'm going to switch my webcam. Betty, if this is your first class, this is usually what I do. Let me just close this window here, as I have another webcam set up over my craft table, so you all can see a little bit better what I'm doing. I'm excited about this. I saw that this candy cane that my friend Marissa made, and I thought, how gorgeous is that? And I don't even want to tell you how much I paid for my ribbon. I ordered the Deco Mesh ribbon from Craft Outlet. Let me just make sure that you can see my whole table here, because I wanted to get the same kind. I may have to raise this up a little bit. I may have to raise my camera up. I wanted the same kind that she used, and I actually paid more for the shipping than I did for the ribbon because I wanted to make sure that I got it in time. So I'm not even going to tell you how much I spent for the shipping, but I want to see if I can't find something to raise my camera up a little bit so you can see my whole table. I always do a test before I start. I set up my camera and I make sure that you can see it, but it just seems like it's not catching my whole table this time. Hold on one second for me. And what did I use yesterday? I know what I used. I'll be right back, you guys. Hang there with me. I just want to lift up my camera a little bit. One of these days I'm going to get a fancy tripod, and just bear with me here. I'm going to raise this up just a little bit. I'm going to get a fancy tripod and be all professional. I know I'm blurry. I'll fix that. So I just wanted to raise this up a little bit. Just there. That's better. So you can see my whole setup here. If I could show you how I have my camera set up, you would laugh. It's all duct tape and fancy. But it's okay, it works. Hold on here. Do not attempt to adjust your television screen. If you're old like me, you remember that. I think that was Outer Limits or Twilight Zone or one of those crazy shows from the 70s or 60s. There we go. That'll work. Okay, so here we have our candy cane form. Here we have our ribbon. Let me grab my chair, even though I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be standing or sitting. I can never really decide what I'm going to be doing until I start doing it. This is probably going to be a lot easier than you think. If you've ever done the pull-through method, you can do it with burlap. You can do it with mesh. We did a class a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was a little bit more than that, on a pull-through with 10-inch. And I wanted to show you that quick if you didn't attend that class. We did a pull-through with 10-inch mesh, and it's so awesome because you don't have to cut anything. You don't have to worry about fraying. This is actually the pull-through that we did, or that I did, with 10-inch mesh. And now all it is you just pull it through the frame, no cutting. It can be a little bit cumbersome when you start because you want to make sure that your ruffles and all your pieces, I'm just hanging this back up, bear with me, and all your pieces are even. And it can be a little bit cumbersome until you get used to the motion of it, but it really does make a nice, I'm just trying to fix my wreath here. I'll worry about that later. It really does make a nice finished product. So really that's all we're going to do. Now I'm going to cut the end of this a little bit just to make it, maybe I don't even need to do that because what I'm going to want to do to start, I'm trying to think about what end I want to start at here. You're going to want to zip tie the end of your ribbon to one end of your frame because you want it to be secure before you start pulling at it. You don't really want any fraying on the end either. Let me just see what end I want to secure this to. You know what, I'm not even sure if I want to zip tie it because I think it'll hold okay. So what I want to do, I just want to cut off this end a little bit because it's a little bit uneven. When you're cutting mesh and using scissors, it's always good to try to get in between those lines. If you can see those lines there going across, because then you're going to have less fraying. So Whether you're using scissors, it's a little harder to do with a rotary cutter because, you know, you're going a little bit faster with a rotary cutter. I can do it with my wood burning tool. I can get in between the grid lines pretty easily. And you're going to minimize your frame when you do that. All right, so I think we're just going to start pulling through. I'm not going to worry so much about attaching it because it's going to stay. So, 1 second for me. I just want to look at something. Bear with me. I want to look at one thing before I get started here. Okay. So you can see there's 4 rungs here. Okay. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be pulling through these 2 and these 2. So we're going to go up 1, pulling through, and then we're going to come back up and go around this one. So I'll show you what I mean by that. You can kind of lay your ribbon underneath if you want, whatever's comfortable for you. You can let it fall to the floor. A lot of people do that just so it's out of the way. But I might just do that. I might just let it drop to the floor. Maybe I'll even set it on my table over here. Okay. So, I want it to be on this way. I'm all discombobulated tonight. Trust me, it's gonna work. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to set this up so when I start pulling through. Okay. Maybe I'll start on this end. I'm going to start on the bottom. So I'm going to put it over here. I'm just going to let it fall on the floor. Okay. What you're going to do, I'm going to get this so you can see, is just start pulling it through these 2 here, okay? And what I mean by that is take the end, slip it through, slip the other side through, and pull it through. Just like that, see? And try to make it even. So, see how I've pulled it right through around that rung? The rung is in the middle there. And that's all you're doing. You're going to pull it through, and as you're pulling it through, you're going to be scrunching it, okay? You're going to scrunch it down. So let's get a little bit more in there first. Like I said, it may seem a little bit cumbersome as you're doing it. Trust me, it's going to be a lot easier with 4 inches. Doing it with 10 inches is a little bit, you know, more difficult because it's wider. I think the 4-inch will work pretty well. It's something that you don't really want to rush, though, because what you're going to want to do is you're going to be scrunching it as you go along. You can see how I'm doing that. Now, as far as how much is going to go in each little section, because you have little sections here, that's going to be entirely up to you and how full you want each section. I think I might even go grab my chair. Just make sure that when you're pulling it through, that you have the same amount on that side that you do on that side, because you want it to be even. Let me just grab my chair. I feel like I want to sit. You guys can stop me at any time if that's confusing. I need to shut my Facebook off because it's making noise here. Hold on 1 second for me. I only get about 10 zillion notifications a day. Although I don't even get notifications from my family anymore. You know, I'll get a message. Where did I go? Here I am. I'll get a message from my sister or my, you know, one of my friends, and they'll say, "Did you see that picture I posted?" I'm like, "No." All I get is Wreath notifications. I don't get notifications from family or friends anymore. You're just kind of pulling it through. Doesn't have to be perfect. And as you're pulling it through, you're scrunching it. You can kind of see my hands. I love this ribbon that I found. It was actually on sale at Craft Outlet. This stuff isn't cheap. I think normally this was like $14.99 for this roll of, it's 25 yards though, so you get a lot. Whoops. It's very easy to pull through too much on one side, so you're just going to kind of want to make sure that you keep that controlled. And again, just go slow. But look how pretty that looks when it starts to ruffle up. I think this piece is coming out. Hold on a second.
Christina,
Yes, ma'am.
I do have a question.
Okay.
Does it matter if your candy cane is
I can't hear you, honey. What's that?
your on your candy cane?
Yeah.
The way it's normally, the front side of it's rounded out.
Oh, you know what? I screwed up. You're totally right. Holy crap. I'm glad you told me that.
That's why I'm asking.
Oh my God.
I wanted to know, did it matter?
You're totally right. I was going the wrong way. Thank you so much for pointing that out.
Okay, that's
Make
all.
sure your candy cane is faced the round side up. Oh my gosh. I can't believe I did that. Thank you for that. I'm glad you stopped me. I wasn't even paying attention. Isn't that terrible? I'm so focused on chit-chatting and showing you. Yes, make sure your candy cane is the round side up. Who was that was just talking there?
Lisa.
Lisa. Lisa, thank you so much, honey.
You're welcome. I didn't want to let you get too
I feel
far
like a
before
dummy
I asked.
now. You're absolutely right. Make sure the rounded side is up. I don't know why I did it that way. I just wasn't thinking. I only have about a million things going on in my head right now. Thank you so much for that. So now that we have our candy cane up the right way, we're going to continue pulling our ruffles through. You know, I'm thinking I might want to zip tie that because that's starting to fray on me on the end. I had a feeling that it might do that. I want to be able to zip tie it so it can't be seen though. That's the thing. I'm not quite sure how I can do that. I'll just leave it. I think it'll be okay once it's all on there. Let's start over again here. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I'm just pulling through and I'm scrunching it as I go. I'm actually trying to tuck that cut end in because I don't really want that to show. As you continue to scrunch it in together, it's going to kind of hold itself. I like my ruffles really kind of tight, so I'm going to scrunch it in kind of tight here. You know what, I think I'm going to zip tie that piece because that's just fraying on me. I'm going to take my end and I'm just going to zip tie it underneath first. How many times are we going to start this candy cane over? Oh, about 3 or 4 more times. Don't worry. I just don't like the way this is fraying here. So where am I going to put this? Just try to zip tie it underneath here so it's sort of out of the way and close to where you're starting. I'm actually going to zip tie it right to that middle bar that I'm pulling through, but it'll stay there. Good Lord. Stay. That really frayed quite a bit, didn't it? Bear with me 1 second. I need to just get this on here. I'll feel much better when this is out of the way. Okay. Don't worry about that after. I'll cut that zip tie off after. Let's start over. It's good if you just try to let it lay underneath what you're working on as you're pulling it through. This method's really nice with burlap as well. But I think that's the first time I thought I saw this is with the burlap. Now don't worry about this little piece that you just zip tied, because what I'm going to do at the end is I'm going to snip all this off, okay, all this stuff that's sticking out here, and I may just bend it over and glue it to my ruffle so it doesn't show. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. But if I just pulled it through without zip tying it, it would have just kept on fraying. And I did not want that. You can do this with a solid color. Doesn't have to be multicolored like this, but it looks so pretty when you use the multicolor. So I'm just going along, and I'm going to check in a minute and see how full this section is, if I think it needs more. Because now don't forget, you're going to be going around the other side of it too, so you're going to be going down around the other. I think I'm going to stop there with that section. I have a nice piece coming off here. I'm going to stop right there, okay? So that's pretty full to me for that one section. So I'm going to go to the next one. It's going to seem a little weird going from one section to the other, but just try not to let these pieces come out when you move to your next section. I'm a little blurry. That happens sometimes. 1 second. You may have to like hold the one end with one hand as you're pulling through with the other, so those pieces don't come out as you're pulling through, because they can slip out pretty easily. Once you get everything in there and it's all nice and tight, it will hold itself in there. And then when you come back around the other side, it really holds it because it's all kind of squished together. You can definitely use regular ribbon for this. It doesn't have to be the deco mesh. Just make sure that it's, whoops, see how it kind of wants to pop out? Just make sure that it's at least 4 inches wide. You can go maybe 4 to 6. And make sure that it's wired. Now, unwired ribbon would not look good for this. Just trying to make sure that they're all even here. If you have to pull it out and do it over again, that's fine. I'm going to do a little bit more. I love this ribbon. It's so pretty. Tomorrow night's class is going to be fun. I cannot wait to show you the no-cut ruffle, and it's not a pull-through. It's something that you've never seen before, and it's going to really blow you away. I hope. Just trying to make sure that these ruffles are the same size. Deco mesh seems to want to have a life of its own sometimes. You want it to do a certain thing and it wants to do its own thing, and you feel like screaming sometimes, but just be patient. We'll go through a little bit more. And I think that section looks good. So it looks a little weird now, but like I said, once you go back up the other side, it's going to kind of squish it all together, and it'll look a little bit more compact. No, I went through the wrong one on here. Hold on a second for me. I have to fix this one. That's why it's looking weird. I went through the wrong two. There we go. I got to go through these two. I see what I did. I'll fix that in 1 second. I was thinking to myself, why does that look weird? I went through the wrong rung. We'll fix that right now. I got it. There. That's better. I see what I did. I zip tied it and then I went through the wrong to start it. So I had, I see what I did. No worries. Now we're going the right way. Okay. Again, if you want it tighter, you can put more in the section. It's all in how you think it looks and how full you want it to be. But I think that looks good. The amount that I have in each section there. So I'm going to the next one. I haven't decided yet what color mesh I'm going to use tomorrow for that no-cut ruffle. I'm trying to think what I have as far as embellishments. I have a lot of mesh. I might do, because it is 10-inch mesh you need to use, so I think I'm going to maybe use a red and white mesh that I have. But again, the purpose of the class tomorrow is really just to show you how to do it, and not so much adding embellishments, but I probably will still anyway, add some ribbon. I've got my roll sitting on the desk over here. It's very quiet in my house tonight. All my kids went out to dinner. Now they're at the mall. Hopefully buying their mom something good for Christmas, but you never know. That's the key. Just as you go along, make sure that none of the other pieces that you pulled through are trying to pop out, because they want to do that sometimes. Such pretty mesh. I love that so much. I think this is actually the first time I've worked with 4-inch mesh ribbon. I think this section's just about done. You can sort of fluff your ruffles as you go along, or you can wait until the end. Entirely up to you. I actually just hung my ornament wreath that I made in class. Oh, I don't know when we had our ornament wreath class. Maybe a month and a half or so ago, 2 months ago. And I hung it by my Christmas tree. And it looks so gorgeous hanging there. And it's all sparkly from the lights from the tree. Just trying to fix a couple ruffles here. Oh, I need to plug my battery in. I always forget to do that. My laptop battery. There we go. Don't want to run out of battery. Okay. What happens when you pull on mesh? It likes to fray a little bit. What the heck is wrong with this piece over here? It keeps wanting to pop out. All right, I'm done with this section here, I think. Now, what happened over here? This one seems to like have folded in on itself. I just need to fix that a little bit. Hold on. And that's why it's important that you try to get as much into one section as you can, because then it's so squished in there, it's not going to pop out on you. If you see a piece that pops out, just reach back down and grab it. And when you're done, and I'll show you, you can flip it around and go through the bottom and push any pieces through that may have popped out. That's not a big deal. Try to get as much in there as you can. If you think you can't pull any more through, try to pull one more set through because you want that to be tight. In fact, I'm a little bit worried that this down here isn't tight enough. But I feel like when I get my second row in, that'll help tighten it up a little bit. I feel like I could have maybe added a little bit more to that section, but this is pretty tight up here. And that's kind of how you want it. You want it nice and tight. I'm going to move to my next section now. Coming around the corner. There goes my mesh on the floor. That's okay. I hear my kids coming home. So if you hear my doggie howling, that's why. She howls when they get home. She doesn't bark. She's like a little wolf. Hold on, I'm going to grab my mesh on the floor here. Okay. They're home. See if you can hear her howl. She might howl in a second here. If you have been in my classes before, you've probably heard her howl. They love that doggie. That is so pretty. And the thing of it is, with when you have a mesh like this that's multicolored, you don't really want to add a lot to it. You know, just a little bow. We're going to put the little bow on there. But you don't really want to add a lot of stuff. I mean, I feel the same way too when I'm working with mesh like this in a wreath. Because it's just so colorful on its own. You don't want to cover it up. I know a lot of wreath makers out there love to add tons of ribbon, so much ribbon that you can't even see the mesh. And I don't like to cover up my mesh that much. I like to be able to see it. And I've seen so many posts in my other group from people that say, you know, is there a mesh under there? Because there's so much ribbon that you can't see it. Oh, there we go. There's the howl. There's my doggie. That's what she does when she wants a treat. She seems to get a treat all the time. You spoil her, that's for sure. My little wolf. Yeah, I'm liking the way these ruffles are coming out. Really, really nice. I keep playing with this down here because I feel like I should have added a little bit more, but it's okay. That's okay. I'm going to pull a little bit more through here, and then I'm going to go to my next section. Again, just when it feels nice and tight, you can move to the next one. That's nice and tight there. I like the way that looks right there. Ribbon fell again. I apologize. It's way across under my table. There's a lot of ribbon on here. There's 25 feet on here, or 25 yards. There's a lot. Maybe I can even make 2. I have 10 candy cane forms, so. Okay, let's keep going here. So I'm hoping that you folks are getting the hang of it as you're going along, if you're doing it with me. You just kind of have to be patient. Again, using the one hand to squish it over and the other hand to pull it through is really the best way to get this done. You're going to find, like I said, when you start putting your second row in, it'll really fill in nice. I may as well just leave my ribbon on the floor. It's just going to keep falling. Nothing I can do. If they kind of fold over themselves a little bit, that's fine. As long as it's not popping out. You just don't want it to pop out. And again, we can go underneath after. We can kind of tuck it in. Just try to get it as tight as you can. One more, I think. One more pull through here. I think that one's good. Yes, I cut my phrase as I go along. All right, last section, then we're going to come around the bend and go down the other side. So we're getting there. bit more, I think. Our last section here before we turn around and go back down or up, however you want to look at it. For anyone who's watching here for the first time, Betty, I'm not quite sure how many other new people we have here until I go back and look, but you will get a copy of this too. So if you're attending live, you do always get a copy of the video as well. So if you're not making it tonight, you're just watching, don't worry. That's the nice thing. All right, I think I'm happy with this section here. Let me just play with it a little bit more and see if, I think that's pretty tight. Okay, so even though that looks pretty full, we're going to go down the other side and fill in the other section, just like we did this one. Okay. So, ribbon's all the way over there. I'm going to flip this around. Now, so now we have to go through, you can see that. These two bars here. Let me see if you can see that. The two bars here are we're going to go through. So we had 4, we went through the 2 on the outside. Now we're going to go through these 2. Just like we did. And you have to kind of flip it around and go back. Now this might seem a little weird because you're going to be trying to pull it through next to what's already there. So you're just doing the same thing. You may have to hold the other section out of the way a little bit, but I don't like this angle that I'm working at. I have to flip this around. Oops, I'm totally blurry now. How did that happen? There we go. I know it's kind of hard to see. I have to bring my ribbon around the other side. Hold on one second for me. This is where it's going to start to get really full when you come down the other side here. Just be patient and don't, try to get frustrated. It's going to want to stick to each other, and when you're all done pulling everything through, then you can go back around and adjust and fix your ruffles. Make it look the way you want it to look. This one here is pulled through just a little bit too much on one side, so I'm going to fix that. You know, it's funny because a lot of times when I'm sitting here working on something during a class and I'm actually sitting and looking at it, I can't really see how it looks until I look up at my laptop, and I can see, it's like I have two views of what I'm doing here, and I can get a different view of it looking at my laptop instead of it, you know, as well as it being in front of me. And that helps me sometimes. I noticed that piece sticking out when I was looking at my laptop. I couldn't really see it as I was looking down at it. So it sometimes helps to have the laptop and I have another view here of what I'm doing. Pretty, very pretty. I am so sorry if you can't really see what I'm doing, but it's kind of hard for me to show you. But I'm hoping that you get the idea so far. Try to pull a little bit more through that section. Trying to get a good angle here where I can see. Just be careful that you don't pull the first row that you started out as you're pulling the second row through. It can be a little bit tricky. Just trying to get this section nice and tight before I go to the next one. One more. I can't find my other side. I lost it. Where'd it go? There it is. Get over here. I think that's tight enough. It's nice and tight right there in the end. Okay, so moving on. Slow and steady wins the race. It might even help if you do what I'm doing and just try to push that other section out of the way and try to pull and scrunch with one hand. It does seem to want to get stuck to that other section that you already pulled through. That's working a lot better. Much better. Just try to hold that back with your hand as you're pulling through. It's all going to be worth it in the end, I promise you. Just think about how focused you are as you're making this beautiful candy cane. It gets a little tricky as it gets tighter. You want it tight. I need to stand for a second, guys. I want to look at this real quick here. I think that looks really good. Whoops. I think I'm going to stand for a minute. You can maybe see what I'm doing a little bit better here. Just hold that back like that. Pull and scrunch. Make sure your ribbon is laying flat. That helps. I actually even had some 5-inch ribbon that I got from Sam's Club that I was thinking about using for this as well. And it's just going to make it a little bit poofier and a little bit taller. Where's that ribbon that I was going to use? 'Cause I ordered this and I thought someone picked it up for me and I thought, what the heck am I going to do with that? Look how wide that ribbon is. But this would look really pretty for a pull through as well. So I might either make a wreath out of that or I might use it for my candy cane. I have 10 more candy canes. And the wrapped ones are pretty. You know how you see how they wrap the candy cane in ribbon and then they do a bow. I might do a couple of those. We'll see. You can do this with burlap. If you have any of the Dollar Tree mesh, you could definitely use that as well. That's 6 inches, but it still would be good to use for the pull through. That's really all this is. You're just pulling it through, scrunching it. I think you figured that out by now. That one's pulled through a little bit too much. You have to kind of, if you have to pull it out and start a section over, don't panic. I would rather have you do that and fix it, than continue and then look back at it and say, oh, I should have fixed that while I had the chance. Like I said, if you feel like you can't get any more through one section, you know what? Try to squeeze one more in. That's just going to keep everything in place. think I'm done with this section now. It's getting pretty tight. Yeah, I think that one's done. It's not letting me pull any more through, so that means it's done. Okay. How many more do we have left here? A couple more, a few more. I'll try to hold that first one back with one hand. Hopefully by now it's gotten a little bit easier since we've been doing it for a little while here. Take a break if you need to. That's the beauty of getting the video. You can stop and start it. Give your hands a break. You can see how nice and full it gets when you get both. When you start doing both sides of it. That's so pretty. Go to the next section. Hold that back, get it out of the way. Again, you don't have to do it the way that I'm doing it, whatever is comfortable for you. Just sort of fixing a couple of pieces here on the other side as I go along here. Adjusting my ruffles. Boy, I'm all twisted up here. Make sure your mesh is flat or you're going to end up getting twisted. I actually think I may come back around and put a little bit more in here. I feel like those sections could be a little bit tighter. The ones that I started on. But if you have enough ribbon left, you can go back and you can add as much as you want. And I will show you how I'm going to do that. My section's getting pretty tight here. I just wanted to make sure I had enough in there. Before I moved on. That's really pretty. Because I'm seeing here how these are kind of popping out over here because I feel like I didn't add enough to my first couple of sections, but we can definitely fix that. And I'm not going to take the whole thing apart. I'll just come back and I'll just add more. That could definitely be tighter. We'll fix it. But let me just finish coming around on these sections here. So when I get to it, and I can fix it. I saw a really pretty wreath the other day in my other group. And I'd never used it before, but it was spiral ribbon. I'm not sure if any of you guys have ever seen the spiral ribbon before. But she did the pull through with it, and it was just such a gorgeous wreath. And I saved it because I really want to try it. I'm not quite sure where I can get spiral ribbon. I think she got it at Michael's. All right, what are we stuck on here? Get out of there. When I was in Joann's today, I saw Joann's Fabrics has some really good sales now, 60% off all Christmas, ribbon, etc. Although I probably shouldn't have gone down the ribbon aisle. But I did get a really pretty ribbon today at Joann's that I have to show you for 60% off. I thought that was so gorgeous. But Joann's has these wooden cutouts that you can paint. And I actually like the way they look natural. And I got a bunch of them, and they're just so pretty. Candy cane shapes and stockings and wreaths. And they're like wooden, and they have, little shapes, and they're just, I should go and show you the one that I got. And my daughter says, Mom, are you going to paint that? I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like it plain. I like the look of the natural wood, the way it is. They were really busy today, too. A good time. Somebody's got their TV on. That's okay. Who's that down there that just popped in? I see somebody's webcam. Oh, that's Gail. Hi, Gail. I can't always see whoever is here until I look up. I'm so busy doing what I'm doing here, I can't tell who's here. I think this is Gail's first class, though. I don't know how long you've been here, Gail, but hello. We're almost done here. With our candy cane, I'm just trying to squeeze some more in here in this section, and we have one more, and then we're going to be done. I think they may add a little bit more to that side. I have to go and look at it. My ribbon keeps twisting on me. And this type of wreath, or I should say candy cane, whatever, when you're doing the pull through, it really is just an exercise in patience. Going back and adjusting and fixing and making sure that your ruffles are even. And if you're totally OCD like me, you want them to be perfect. But you know what? Sometimes you have to let it be a little bit imperfect, because that's what makes it look pretty. I don't think I'm going to be able to get any more in this section here. I think that one's good. Okay, last one. And then I think I'm going to come around and try to get a little bit more into these two that I started with, because they seem a little bit loose to me. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe oops, I'm blurry. My apologies. It happens sometimes. I don't know why. I was watching Hardworking Mom today, her video, and she recommended a new webcam that she had gotten. And it looked really nice. So I think it might be time for a new webcam. I would really love one of the Mevos that Damon and Regina Sellers use, but they're like $800. I don't think I can do that right now. Last section here, coming around the bend with our candy cane. Bringing it on home. I'm going to cut the zip tie off for a minute here. I think I'm going to add some more to that section anyway. Get it off. This piece that I zip tied on here. Come on. These zip ties are strong, and I guess that's a good thing, unless you're trying to get it off. I'm just going to take that off for a minute. I'm going to put some more into that section, I think. Let me fix this one because I messed it up. The day that somebody makes a deco mesh product that does not fray is going to be a wonderful day in the crafting world, or in the wreathing world. Hallelujah, mesh that doesn't fray. I'm going to squeeze a little bit more in there. And I think I'm going to be done with that side. I'm just trying to fix the pieces that folded in themselves a little bit. But, you know, even if they do fold in themselves a little bit, it's okay. I'm just trying to keep the sides even. Yeah, I see what happened. Come over here, you. When you start talking to your mesh, I think it's time to go to sleep. There we go. Okay. Now, I think that looks good. Uh-oh. Somebody's unmuted. Do you have a question, Gail?
No.
I can mute you, honey. Don't worry about it. I got it. No worries. I have that power. Okay. Actually, I think I'm going to pull just a little bit more through here. Just a little. Just a little. No, I think that's good. I think there's no more that's going to go in there. Now, what I wanted to try to do, if I could, was get a little bit more in that section that I started on. Because, I don't know, maybe not. Now that I've got the other side filled in, it looks like it's, I just need to pull that piece through. There we go, that looks better. I just feel like that side could be a little tighter, but maybe not. I guess that looks okay. What I think I'm going to do, let me just look at this real quick here. Because I have this piece here that I tried to zip tie. And it ended up coming out because I cut it out. But I want to try something here. I'm going to cut this off again, this terrible frayed piece. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it through like that. But I'm going to add a little bit more, so it's going to kind of hide it, okay? So I've got my cut end there, but I want to add more to that section. So I'm just going to squish it back out of the way. You can see that. I'm just going to add some more to that side. Actually, I think I could even add some more of this side still. Let me look at it again. I'm going to add a little bit more to that side. Because I want it nice and tight. I think that's good. We're almost done here, guys. Hang in with me. I'm not even sure what time it is. I haven't even looked at my watch. I'm so focused here on what I'm doing. All right, so now I can go back around. I'm going to try to add a little bit more to this section here. I'm going to try to tuck my cut ends in here. But I think once I add a little bit more mesh to it, it's not going to be seen anyway. I need to turn it around. Just coming around the corner. I'm just going to add a little bit more. Don't fray. Guys, bear with me while I have to kind of stand this up over here for a minute and do this. Just so I can see what I'm doing here. It's a tricky piece here, this last section, so I just want to try to squeeze a little bit more in over here. Just bear with me for 1 second while I finish this. It's getting caught, is what it's doing. Well, I'm not quite sure what happened here. Give me 1 second. It's not pulling through correctly for me here. There we go. I got it. It's because I'm so close to this other piece here. It keeps getting stuck. I think I'm just going to call it a day. I feel like I'm going to do more harm than good by trying to squish more in there. Hold on 1 second for me. Let's try this. So let this be a lesson for you. Don't do what I did. Make sure you get enough in that section from the very beginning. I didn't put enough in. And now I'm trying to go back and add a little bit more, and it's not that easy. So I think I'm going to call it a day. I think I'm going to be done. Okay, so I actually hid that piece that was cut, which is what I kind of wanted to do. I took the zip tie off and I kind of just tucked it in here so it can't be seen. Now, we have to cut this. And all I'm going to do with that piece that I just cut is just tuck it in somewhere. Just kind of tuck it in there. It's not going to come out, don't worry. Just tuck that right in somewhere, okay? That last piece that you finished with. It's not going to be seen, it's just tucked in there. And that's that. Now that's the back of it. If you want to kind of go through and push some pieces through, this is when you can do it. Go back around. Okay, let me check my time here. What are we doing here? Oh, 9:51 Eastern time. We're doing pretty good. So now you can kind of go around and fluff it a little bit if you feel like you need to and even it out. Even out the spots that may have a little bit more on one side. Kind of pull them a little bit, fix them. Fix your ruffles a little bit if they're folded in on each other. Tuck it in. This one here, it's got too much on that side, so I'm just going to pull it through a little bit so it's even. You can cut your phrase. But I think that looks really pretty. And you can't even see, you really can't even see that cut piece. It's sticking out a little bit, so I'm just going to tuck it down in there. That's all I'm going to do. You can definitely spray this if you want with adhesive spray. You can use the E6000 spray. You could use Elmer's craft adhesive spray if you want to just spray that a little bit. I know some people even use hairspray, but that would just be that one piece, that one end piece that I cut, because there's no other cut ends anywhere on here. So it was a little bit of a time-consuming project, but it came out really nice, I think. I'll probably play with it a little more. Now, you're going to notice you're going to have a lot of your ribbon left here. So if you want to make another ribbon, like in the image that I showed you, boy, this came unraveled. You can do that, or you can even add a ribbon with another, like a plain red or, you know, any color that you want. So if I was to go ahead and add a ribbon using this same mesh, I'm just fixing this a little bit right here. You could hand tie it. If you have a pro bow, you could use your pro bow. That's a big one. This piece came right out over here. Hold on, let me fix it. There's plenty of time for you to adjust. There we go. you wanted to make a ribbon out of this, like I said, I'm not really good at hand tying ribbons. I'll be honest with you. I was even thinking about taking my Pro Bow out, using my Pro Bow to make a ribbon out of this. Let me see here for a second. You could basically just take it and start making loops, just like you would if you were making a regular ribbon or a regular bow. Hold on a second here. It's so wide. Let me think about this for a minute here. Hold on. See, I don't know if I want a ribbon made out of this. I'm not quite sure what I want to do. Where's my Pro Bow? I wonder if I can make a ribbon out of this using my Pro Bow or a bow. You know what I think I'm going to do, you guys? I'm going to hold off on the bow for now. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm not good at making hand-tied bows. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to struggle on camera with you trying to make a bow. So I may try to make a bow out of this ribbon with my Pro Bow and add it. There's lots of videos online to show you how to make a hand-tied bow. You know, again, the wreath in the example that I showed you was not my wreath. That was my friend Marissa's wreath. And she's really good at making bows. So again, I think I may just try to do something off camera and then I'll just add it and I'll post it. You can add, if you want to add ornaments to it, if you want to add, you know, any sort of an embellishment. But again, something like this, because it's so colorful, you really don't want to add a lot to it. So, but I think it came out cute. I'm going to work on my bow, and then I'll add it, and I'll take a picture. And if you have any questions, message me. And, I mean, does anybody have any questions right now at all? Everybody's been kind of quiet. No? Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks for being with me tonight. I'm going to try to make my bow and add that, and I'll take a picture. If you have any questions, let me know. Let me switch my camera here for a second so you could see my face. Yeah. Whoops, now I'm down too low. Hey guys, I think it came out pretty nice. I just need to add my bow. Have a great night. Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Trying to get this closed here. Good night. Bye, everybody.